review of The Winner's Curse trilogy by Marie Rutkowski. Don't know how to say it, I'm so sorry. And this is gonna be no spoilers, which actually will probably lead me to talk mostly about the first book, but whatever, I'll do my best, you know. So like I said, it is a trilogy, so there are 3 books. They're all out, obviously. So you have your first one, The Winner's Curse, which I gave 4 stars. Then The Winner's Crime, which I gave 5 stars and was my favorite in the series. And then the last one is The Winner's Kiss, which I also gave 4 stars. So this is a young adult fantasy series, and there's also a pretty strong romance element to it. Like, pretty strong. I'm just saying. There's a ton of other elements, like there's political intrigue and everything, but the romance definitely there. Quick synopsis. This series actually covers a lot of ground, so it's really hard to do a synopsis of the series as a whole. I thought about just reading you like the synopsis from The Winner's Curse, but you know what, if you want that, you can go look it up on Goodreads, so it's fine. Really what this story is about is about 2 main characters, Kestrel and Aaron. And Kestrel, she is from like a warrior nation, basically. Her father's a general. Her country has taken over Aaron's country. That happens like 10 or 15 years before The Winner's Curse starts, and they enslave Aaron's people. So really this story is, in my opinion, about, I mean, the romance obviously, but more importantly it's about the different cultures between these countries and dealing with taking over a country, basically having like a colony now almost, and dealing with that happens when you enslave a people, and then how those people handle the enslavement and everything. That made sense, right? So your 2 main characters are obviously Kestrel and Aaron. And Kestrel, like I said, she's from a warrior class. Her father's a general. He's like the general. And she is very intelligent. She's very strategically minded. Like, she talks to her father a lot about strategy. Her people's culture is very much founded on strategy and war and battle. Like, I think by the time you're 21, you either have to join the army or you have to get married if you're a woman. Those are your only 2 choices. And she uses her strategy all the time, like, in almost a creepy way. She like manipulates people and she like reads people and stuff. It'd probably be a little unsettling in a friend. She also loves to play piano, which is actually something that's different for her people. Like, that's kind of like a lower class thing, instead of being something that she should be doing. And then you have Aaron, and he is a slave. And really, when I think of Aaron, I think of the fact that he really cares about like his fellow people. Like, he really cares about like the other slaves and everything. It's really hard to talk about Aaron without like going into spoiler territory. I'm sorry. I like them both equally, I will say. I think they're both different characters, and I think it's easier to like Aaron, but I think Kestrel is definitely a good heroine. And there are tons of great side characters, especially as the series continues. There's a few that I really like. There's one that is mostly in the last book, but he's in the second book as well, who I love. I want like a book about that character, literally if nothing happened, just to be around him. So the world, I think the world is one of the best parts of this series. So well done. And while this is a fantasy, there is no magic in it. There's some like, I would almost call them like pseudo supernatural elements, but that's super minor. So really nothing. It's really the kind of, it really focuses on like politics and cultural differences and those kinds of things, and that's what I really like in my books, especially in my fantasy. So I mean, I can appreciate magic, but I don't need magic personally, and sometimes I think magic can be used as a crutch. So the plot, like I said, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to go into spoilery territories, and it really is a story about conflicting cultures and conflicting groups of people wanting freedom. And it does talk about slavery and like the impact of slavery and all of that, and like the multiple sides of that issue. You know, I hate to say sides because I feel like that implies there's a right and a wrong when there's really just they're both have valid arguments, which, I mean, I guess depending on your moral compass is true, but whatever. And I personally love stories that deal with slavery, which is weird because I like refuse to read slavery romances. I don't refuse, I'm going to do it. Like I'm gonna read a Beverly Jenkins book at some point in my life because I feel like a horrible romance reader if I don't, but I just can't, like, in my head, like, grasp the idea of a happily ever after in that context. So the writing, it's told in third person, basically like alternating POVs between Kestrel and Aaron. It's very gripping, it's super fast paced. The third book has kind of like a different writing style. You have much quicker page breaks, I feel like, in the third book, which leads to a lot of tension. It also led to a lot of frustration, on my part at least, which I feel like is pretty common. When creating tension, there's going to be a level of frustration, and you just need to know how to like manage that level. But I will say the third book felt different a little bit in the writing. There's also other things that happened that changed for me, that made it feel like a different book, almost like it didn't quite fit in. But overall I find the books to be super gripping. The Winter's Crime I read in almost one sitting. I could not put it down. It was like all I was thinking about. I just wanted to like inhale it. So last, of course, is would I recommend this series? So I'm going to say yes, which probably isn't a surprise, but as per usual, I'm going to qualify my yes. Because the romance plays a huge part in the series, if that is something you don't like, I would proceed with caution. For me personally, I like a romance, and I didn't find that this overpowered it or anything like that, but I'm also game for pretty much romance over anything else. So I don't think that's what happened in this book, but in this series I could see people being upset by it, like that had such a relevant part to the story. So just be aware of that. Like I said, it is very fast-paced and gripping, so I think you could blow through this series in no time, if you wanted to. And you could always just pick up the first book, you know, see if you at least like the characters. I think the characters are very well developed and interesting, so even if you're not 100% on board for the romance, like actually the first book, I don't fully buy the romance, but like I'm still intrigued, and I was still intrigued enough to keep going, and I'm glad I did because I think the series gets better and better. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Winter's Curse trilogy by Marie Rutkowski. Rutkowski. I don't know, it's so hard. So hard. If you have any comments, questions, book recommendations, anything like that, feel free to leave those down in the comments below. If you are going to leave any comments about the books, just try and make them non-spoilery, just for other people. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!